Right, ladies and gents, welcome to my review, non-spoilers, I guess, not really too much to spoil, of The Invitation. Now, you would have seen the trailer, and if you have seen the trailer, then you kind of know the spoilers, so I'm going to talk around that with those kind of key spoilers in mind, I guess. A bit disappointing that they revealed a lot in the trailer. However, having watched the film, I know why they did. This is a sanitized horror film. What I mean by that is it's one to be enjoyed probably as a couple. You know, it's not a chick flick horror, but it's female-led, it's sanitized, it's with females in mind. You know, there's the sort of handsome British gent luring the, American woman to England, etc. So it's very much of that nature. So having the trailer show a lot of that stuff rather than painting it more as a horror does make sense, but it is disappointing because I think they could have done a lot of that stuff without revealing quite key pieces of information. Now, this was directed by Jessica M. Thompson, featured Nathalie Emmanuel, and Thomas Docherty as essentially our two leads. Thomas Docherty plays Walter of New Carfax Abbey, which gives you a pretty key spoiler as to what this is. Dracula, basically. And obviously, if you've seen the trailer, our character of Evelyn Alexander gets invited over to a wedding. Little does she know, it's her wedding. Ha ha ha! She's an integral part of Dracula and his three wives. Basically, this is what that is. It's Dracula and his three wives. I really liked the introduction to this film. It was pretty brutal. I guess somewhat of a spoiler here. The intro features a beheading, and it was brutal enough for me to be quite surprised. Not shocked, but quite surprised that this film had that. And then we get into our sort of sanitization from there. We meet up with Evelyn, Evie, working grand event for Find Yourself DNA testing. She then steals a grab bag, doesn't steal it, but pilfers a grab bag, goes home, does it, and gets contacted by one of her relatives, who then invites her over to England for this great big wedding, the big day. And from there, things start going astray. Things aren't quite right. But Walt's here to save the day. Walter, pretty stereotypical, quintessential Englishman, I guess. I'll stiff upper lip and all that. Very much what the American stereotype of an Englishman would be. Very well spoken. It's very Jane Austen, I guess. Rich, young, that sort of thing. Now, in terms of this being... Look, this is not a horror film for major horror fans, right? Like, it's just not. It's not what this ever intended to be. But as this being a film for a couple, let's say, going to go watch a horror film together, I think you'd probably enjoy this as a bloke. Like, it's not horrendous. It's not awful. It's not amazing. But it's good enough. You could watch this with your partner and be like, yeah, this is fine. Like I said, this is predominantly, very clearly aimed at women. We know that in terms of the framing of Walt, the character, and the low-grade horror sequences. Now, I say low-grade, and that will put a lot of people off. There are some good horror sequences in here, and there are some gruesome elements. Hands being cut off, people being bludgeoned to death, things like this. So it's not that sanitized. When I say sanitized, loads of people will be really, really immediately put off. It's not that sanitized. It's not The Exorcist. Do you know what I mean? Now, from a technical perspective, writing, fine. It is what it is. I've covered that, and you'd have a fine time with it. You're not going to be overblown with this. Probably a beer movie to compare it to something a guy would enjoy. Beer flick with some mates. Not that you would watch this with some mates, but it's a beer flick with some mates type of movie. The writing is fine. There was some dumb commentary about white people, British people being overly polite, and that stems from their guilt of the colonies. No, we just know manners. It's funny that Americans put that down to guilt. No, we just have better manners than you Americans. Sorry, but if you're going to highlight that as a joke in a film, I'm going to correct you. And I know that will cop a lot of flack. I don't care. Oh no, sorry. Let me be overly polite because of my colonial guilt. My apologies. However, the truth is a bitter pill to swallow. So there's some dumb commentary in there, but nothing major. The writing is just fine. It is what it is. Framing, cinematography, things like that. Yeah, good enough. It is kind of what it is. It falls apart ever so slightly with some weird fire effects at the end. Really bizarre. Don't quite know what happened there. It's almost like it got added at the last minute and as a bit of an afterthought. It was very strange. Like PS1 sort of graphic style, you know, old 2000s, 1990s CGI fire was very odd. But the set pieces were great. There is obviously, you know, it's a wedding movie, isn't it? So we go into obviously a dark church-esque place, and that set was really nice, well dressed. In terms of set dressing, quite impressive, so much so that I actually took notice of it. The location itself, Carfax Abbey, was a great set piece. I don't know whether it is a real location and the interior was a real place, but it was nicely decorated with obviously nods to what the story is, and this is why I don't think that they needed to go that way in the trailers, but obviously I understand. But there was some good stuff in this movie that people can enjoy and appreciate if you're a cinema fan, I guess. Music was fine. Sean Pertwee was in this, who's insanely likable as an actor. For those that don't know, Dog Soldiers, you know, he's very, very good in this. And there was a very funny line, I'm going to enjoy feeding you to the fucking wolves, which makes me laugh because, of course, Dog Soldiers, a werewolf film that he is renowned for. So it's good to see him back in things. I like Sean Pertwee a lot. Overall, acting was fine, music was fine. It's just a fine film. You know, go out and watch it with your partner. It'll do. Now, obviously, I'm not going to strongly recommend this film, but I didn't hate watching it either. So that's kind of the best I can give this film as a bit of a review. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed it. If you have, or this review itself, give it a like and a share and all that good stuff. But if you've seen the movie, what did you guys think? Let me know down below. I enjoyed the little nods. I enjoyed the lore. Could this have been a better film? Yeah, of course. But this is catering very specifically to a sanitized horror audience. It is what it is. It's not trying to be something else. Anyway, cheers guys. Take care.